Buckle up, folks. We got some actual football to talk about. We're coming at you with the velocity of a 59-yard Justin Tucker field goal. Stick around. We've got our recap of the first preseason game, plus exclusive reports and interviews out of training camp from our one and only Alex Zeese. You don't want to miss that. It's the Hog Stye. Don't go away.
Welcome to the Hog Stye with your crew, Adam Terrest, Alex Zeese, Sean Conti, and Steve Thomas. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. I'm juiced up. I'm ready to go. Let's do this episode. We finally have an actual game to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys feeling?
Oh, I feel great.
Well,
you know, I'd like to know what you mean when you say you're juiced up, because that can mean a whole lot of things when it's coming from Sean, and I don't know if I want to know. Maybe you should admit it on the air.
Yeah, Steve, it's best not to probe too deeply into these things. You know
I'm glad that you're juiced up, man, because the team sure as hell wasn't.
I know, but I'm trying to stay positive.
Thursday.
At least we have a game to talk about, Alex. I know it was a bad one, but at least it's something. My God.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
We'll get to it. You know, the summer's over. We're into real football. You know, Ezekiel Elliott got suspended. That makes me happy. You know, amen. You know,
That's right.
I don't even care if he deserves it.
Another one
I
bites
don't even
the
care
dust.
if he deserves it. I'm just glad he's gone.
Hey, let me ask you, Steve. I know you're not in Dallas; you're in Houston, but are they freaking out on the radio down there? Because I somehow came across some Dallas radio show, like scanning through, my iPod, and they were going nuts.
I bet they were.
The most crybaby meltdown bitch fest that I have ever heard, and I love.
Well, you got to understand,
better or worse than New England when Tom
they were
Brady
just
gets
terrible.
suspended.
You guys have to
just as
understand the
bad.
dynamic down here.
Jesus.
The city, first of all, I don't listen to a lot of local radio because I'm not really all that interested in local teams here because I'm in Houston. But you have to understand the dynamic, which is that the people of Houston hate Dallas. You know, the Dallas sports teams. And they almost as much as we hate, not quite, but almost as much as we hate them. And so nobody's whining for Ezekiel Elliott. They're cheering, for it. You know, nobody has any sympathy for the Dallas Cowboys around here unless they're one of these bandwagon, yeehaw Texas types that has to root for Dallas,
See, I just would assume that there'd be some random station that caters to the Cowboys. Just like how in D.C. there's random places that cater to the Ravens.
They do carry the Dallas Cowboy radio network down here on one of the stations, so we're, if you don't have satellite radio, you're kind of trapped into having to listen to that game on the radio. But they don't do any Dallas Cowboy talk shows down here. It's just the local teams.
Gotcha. Okay.
What are the details on his suspension, by the way, before we go off the topic?
Well, the details are this is a personal conduct-related suspension. It's not a drug policy suspension. It's two totally different things. He was initially accused back in college of domestic abuse by his then girlfriend.
Well, no, I'm aware of this, but I mean, what's the how long is the suspension?
All right. Well, right now it's a 6-game suspension. He does have an appeal right. He had 3 days to file an appeal, so presumably he's done that. And then the NFL has to hold the appeal within 10 days of his filing of the appeal. That doesn't mean they have to render a decision immediately, but the appeal is going to be done before the end of the preseason. And the thing about it, I just want to say this people understand it. He was never charged criminally with it. But the NFL doesn't care, and they don't have to care because
they've never cared.
It's not that. It's that the criminal standard of proof is what's known as beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest legal standard standard of proof there is. Whereas the NFL, via the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, isn't bound by that. They just basically have is it more likely than not standard, and so by that standard, the NFL concluded that he did do something. It's just in fact the prosecutors the police actually told the NFL apparently that they always believed the victim. They just didn't have enough evidence to prove it. So
right. And if you've seen the photos that have come out, I mean, it's obvious something happened.
She didn't just fall down the stairs.
And there's no. You don't get fingerprint grip marks on your arms from falling down stairs.
And the other thing is the NFL
like
did not
that.
take into account all the other idiotic things he's done, with the exception of the
Yeah.
incident where he pulled the woman's shirt down at a parade. They did take that into account, but all the other things he's done were not a factor.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and we could go in through a whole wormhole with this, but I mean, Ray Rice was, everything was dropped against him, right? I know she dropped the charges, and he was
Legalese, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
legally,
the
I
same
think he was
issue,
never
it's
charged
like
with anything.
the NFL's
Exactly.
involved. And the other thing about Ray Rice is that was
Exactly.
prior to the NFL's current personal conduct policy. It was as a result of the Ray Rice
Right.
case where they developed this personal conduct policy, in which there's some law and order to the punishment length. They're basically all going to be
Yeah.
4 or 6 game suspensions now. I think probably. Yeah,
That's a
I
good
think
start.
probably the NFL probably went to 6 so they can knock it down to 4, and still keep him out for a quarter of a season and basically try to avoid a lawsuit. I mean, that's, I think, where they're headed.
I could see that.
So they give
Right.
him a little bone. They knock 2 games off of it. He's happy or not happy, but he's satisfied that he got a win out of it, and they can not go to court. I think that's probably where it's headed.
Yeah.
Where that's not, the court is not where it's
Oh.
headed. I think that is what's going on here.
Right.
Well, thoughts and prayers to the victims of Ezekiel Elliott, and maybe
The many victims.
He's not going to go. Yeah, he's not. And just so you know, file this in your brains, everybody. He's not going to go in the first round of fantasy football, but maybe stash him in the second round.
Or maybe be a
'cause,
loyal Redskins fan and not draft Dallas Cowboys for your fantasy team.
and not.
There you go.
Nobody
That's the right thing to do.
operates that way.
Look
you
at
big
look
goober
at me.
in fantasy.
I operate like that. I will not draft Dallas Cowboys for my fantasy football team.
Ugh.
Yeah, when we do our fantasy league, I'm the same way. I've never once
Never.
drafted a Cowboy, and I've still had some success. I've won 1 or 2 championships in my
Well, it got so bad for me.
fantasy
Like,
careers.
like one of those years, I haven't played it in a long time up until this year when we're doing our Hogstyle League. But one of those years, I forgot to exclude Cowboys from the auto draft thing because I missed the draft, and I actually went through and I got like 3 of them. And I had to go cut them to get rid of them because I just refused to play
Jesus.
them. Yeah.
All right, Steve, you haven't done it in a while, so kickers
I
are
don't care
really
who it
valuable
is.
now.
There will be no star on my fantasy football team. And I'm not drafting
I know.
Adam Vinatieri in the first round. I do know that much.
Somebody always does it, though. Somebody always reaches for that kicker in the first. It's usually somebody's girlfriend. No offense, ladies who watch the show.
Yeah, you
but
just
it
insulted
always
the
happens.
very audience that we are trying to attract more of. We want more females.
You insulted 10% of our audience there, Sean. Thanks a lot.
Shit.
Guys, let's get into the game
Yeah.
because
I've already
I know we're kind
insulted
of stalling
enough.
because we don't want to talk about it because that was an ugly ass beating,
Oh, it was
wasn't
awful.
it?
Yeah, that was a flaccid showing if I've ever seen one, folks. Sloppy in every
Show title.
tier
A
of the
flaccid
team. It
showing.
seemed it was flaccid. They were. It was a team of flaccid dicks from first string to third the entire night. Sorry, Redskins.
I wish I could disagree, but I can't.
You can't. That's
Perhaps
the
allow
thing.
me to put a little bit more order into this analysis, although I don't disagree with your descriptive adjectives.
Vivid description.
Okay, let's
Vivid.
start with the first string offense played 2 series. They looked atrocious in every way in those first 2 series.
Yeah.
What most surprised me is that the offensive line looked as bad as they did. Trent Williams got beat by Terrell
man.
Suggs on the very first play, very uncharacteristically. Spencer
Yep.
Long got beat. Gruden said in the presser, one of the presses that you covered, Alex, that Long tripped, but it looked like to me he just got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I haven't gone back and looked at that play, but I'm
either
with you.
way, it was bad. Kirk's the first pass from which was the little dig route by Terrell Pryor. The ball was the ball was high. It was misplaced, and not only that,
Yeah.
but Pryor actually had his hands on it, irrespective of that, and went straight through his hands. So it was a terrible pass that the
Right.
receiver should have caught, and
He almost went. Yeah.
well, he
almost went
didn't
up
go
and
up
got
and
it.
get it. That was the thing. I mean, you're 6'5". All you have to do is jump 6 inches off the ground, and it would have been, better place for you. So, Rob Kelly didn't look particularly good. He didn't really have much opportunity. There was very little room.
No, he had what, 3 carries?
Yeah, and there was
4
very
carries?
little room. So
Yeah.
the offense just looked atrocious. in the first string offense. I don't know if you guys disagree with me. I can't honestly find a silver lining among.
No, I don't see how anyone could agree with that. The only thing I'll say is I was amazed by how heavy the Ravens were bringing blitzes on us early on there.
Yeah.
Which I've been talking to some people and they're like, yeah, that's what Harbaugh loves to do in preseason is he loves to blitz heavy for some reason.
Not only that, but I don't know if I had to watch the. You probably did too, Sean. I had to watch the Ravens broadcast because that was what was on NFL Network. And they were talking about how the Ravens specifically wanted to improve their pass rush. And so I think that was probably experimentation 101 a little bit. But you know what? I mean, don't we have one of the best offensive lines in the league? Aren't we supposed to have one of the premier pass blocking lines in all of football?
We've talked about this before. We know that is partially skewed by a quick release, passing system. It's not what everyone says it is. It's not a world-beating offensive line. And by the way, you're calling it the offensive line. I just wanted to say it was bad the entire game, every string, every player that played on it, basically. They had pressure the entire game,
they did.
No matter who was out there.
I don't.
It seemed like bad scheming and bad execution.
I don't diss the offensive line quite as much as you do, I guess, Sean. I do think they're an above-average, top 5 pass blocking line.
I'm not trying to diss them.
Okay, that's fair enough. But I do think they're an elite pass blocking line. Because if you look at their numbers, if you look at the sack rate, it's really low. It's lower than Dallas' sack rate. Run blocking, totally different story. I just think you may be right in that if you put, say, Dallas' line in our offensive system, maybe they'd be better. But I don't know. I mean, all you can do is go on results, to me, in my opinion.
You're right. You're right. No, it's totally fair.
So, anyway, I just don't know if there was a silver lining in that turd bucket.
Not with the first string offense. No. I would say the defense, though, I at least saw some good things here and there from our starting defensive guys.
You go
some of our top
into that? Because I'm going to pee on your parade. So why don't you go first and tell me the positives?
Okay. All right. So
get ready for
I know they were going
shower.
against one of the worst backup quarterbacks there is, but I didn't see any mistakes really by the starters. I saw some good pressures by Allen and Ioannidis early. I saw Ryan Anderson had a couple really nice plays kind of containing runs and I don't know if he was with the first or the second string. It's hard to say with our outside linebackers, who's really a first and second stringer
Murphy
right now.
Was the first stringer.
But
Murphy and Kerrigan were the first stringers.
And then he got hurt. That's true. So, but did Anderson come in after Murphy then?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah, well, I liked what I saw from Anderson. I just they didn't give up anything major in my mind. I wasn't as freaked out by them as I was by our offense.
I thought it seemed just really inconsistent. I thought at times they held the line really well, and at times they would give up a big play. It just seemed like inconsistency. For everything good thing they did, they would do a bad thing. Penalties, too, were a problem, as they always have been for this team. I think there were flashes. I think, Jonathan Allen got out there and got a nice sack at one point. There were flashes and certainly things to be happy about, but inconsistency. It's not good enough to have 3 good plays if you're going to have one shitty one that outdoes the entire thing, and that's what the team does every time. It feels like.
Okay. First of all, I think any good things that the defense did in the first 2 series is totally obscured by the fact that Ryan Mallett is an atrociously awful NFL quarterback who does not deserve to be on the field.
Right.
He's terrible.
I know you did.
I know you did,
didn't I?
But I think the fact that he was out there and he was so terrible in the beginning, he missed a touchdown pass. What would have been a touchdown pass? It was it Fuller that got beat? No, it wasn't Fuller that got beat. I wrote Fuller in my notes. I know that's not right. Was it Fuller?
No, I think it was Fuller.
I wrote.
It wasn't Moreau, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
Norman
I wrote
or
Fuller, so I think it was Fuller. And he was horribly beat, and the pass was dramatically underthrown. Terrible pass, no chance. And he missed. Terrence West dropped the ball on him.
Right.
Made up for it
later. I think that if Joe Flacco had been in there, those passes that Mallett made look so awful would not have been like that, and that first drive would have been a completely different story. Because the truth of the matter is we weren't getting a lot of pressure on the Ravens' first string offense. Not in that first series we weren't. It came later.
Not in the first series. In the second series, they did a little better, I feel like.
But it ones against ones plus Mallet, which should be like a 10, not a 2. We didn't look good at all. We killed Ryan Mallett killed them. So I wasn't encouraged with the defensive pressure, and I was at all, and I wasn't encouraged by our secondary in that first series. It was only came later that it got a little better. I noticed that somebody's hissing. So am I wrong? You guys disagree?
Oh okay. No, that was a deep contemplative inhale. I was just going over what you were saying.
Wait. Are you doing like the whole deep sigh thing that they used to do on Skip Bayless's shows?
Does he do that? Oh God, I don't want to do anything that Skip does. Jesus.
I will point out that Compton and Foster started middle linebacker in the first series. And they looked kind of like Compton and Foster, but I mentioned that because I do want to get to Zach Brown, later. Let me get there.
There you go.
Sure.
There's your bright spot, Steve.
Yeah. Well, let's talk Zach. So, okay. So Compton and Foster were in the first series, and then they rotated Brown in. In the second series. And then it ended up being Foster calling plays, Zach Brown on the weak side. This dude, Zach Brown, he's the bright spot to me. He was the bright spot among the 2 or 3 bright spots. I think you really got a chance to see his lateral movement. Very, very quick laterally.
Yeah.
And he's got a real good nose for the ball. If you noticed, he was involved in almost every play. He was around the ball in every play.
Yeah.
And he has... Yeah, and his athleticism
is
just elite, man. He pursues well. He's got great vision. He can really diagnose plays. He's unbelievably quick laterally, particularly.
He's going to earn his $3 million this year.
Yeah, I don't know why there's even a question about him starting.
Is there?
I don't know why. I don't know why they signed him to a 1-year deal and didn't try and get him for multiple.
Yeah, well, I agree with you completely, Alex. And I would say that if you look at the latest depth chart that was just released, I think today, he's second string. Compton and Foster are the first stringers. Yeah. Zach Brown is second string. I don't understand that.
We just can't read into the roster placements at this point.
I
think it's still a pencil depth chart. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but I think after seeing him perform, he wasn't in that long, only 2 series, but after seeing him perform, I think he's the best of those 3 guys. He's too small to be the Mike backer, and you don't want him engaging an offensive lineman. That's not his thing. But he's by far the most athletic, and I think he has the best vision. So that was my opinion on Zach Brown. Definite thumbs up on what he did.
Agree.
Sure.
But yeah, and more on.
So are we talking about second stringers now?
I mean,
Is that kind of where we want to
go a little bit in more detail here because I do have a couple more notes defensively. McGee, played in the middle, played over the nose at one point in time, and they had him lined up in the I guess it'd be the 1 slot there for a while. I thought he had decent lateral movement. I thought he made more of an impact on the game than McLean. Did McLean even play? McGee. Right, exactly.
I didn't even notice.
Me either.
And so I was more impressed than I thought I would be with McGee's athleticism. And I thought he did fairly well. Overall negative defensive, not disputing that, but I thought McGee did okay. And I thought he gives a sort of a tentative thumbs up. Downfield guys, not a lot of bright spots. In terms of secondary, didn't see much from the first stringers in that at all. So, to me, the bright spots, there were 0 let's do this. From a first stringers perspective, offensive defense, do we have any thumbs up and do we have any thumbs down? I'll put you guys can, I'll do it first since I just put you on the spot with it. There were no thumbs up on the offense. I don't think there was a single positive. I think they looked atrocious all the way around. It's an overall F grade, no positives.
Couple important pieces weren't there, but yeah, nobody stepped up.
And on defense, I'm giving Zach Brown a thumbs up. And from a first stringer standpoint, he was kind of it. All the rest of them, nobody impressed me. He was really the only one.
I would put Zach Brown if you want to say Anderson because he did get a little bit of first string time after Murphy got hurt. Maybe. He had 1 or 2 plays in a row where he kind of stopped the run play by forcing it outside or little things. Like he didn't make the tackle, but he was doing things that
I do have words on Anderson. I was sort of saving him, but Sean, do you have any differences from what we've already said? Thumbs up, thumbs down, first string.
Not really. Not really first string. I mean, I thought it looked like no. I don't have anything to.
Well, you did mention Allen. You thought had one good play.
He did. I think he had 1 sack, and I think
get a sack.
The one thing we have to, we had a few. Yeah. I mean, I think we had 3 last night or the other night. So, despite the inconsistencies, we had little flashes of success. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't hit us with some positive.
Well, that was. I'm just talking about first string. This is just the first string here.
Yeah. No, I got you. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't really argue with anything we've said. I mean, what can you say?
It's particularly offensively. It was like a burn the tape, never watch it again, forget it happened, kind of performance.
Yeah. Well, no, make them watch it every day so they never forget it.
Yeah. Colt McCoy looked like dog ass. I guess.
If we're gonna get into second stringer,
let's
we need
talk
to talk
second
about
string
that.
here. Colt McCoy looked not good. Is that
looked terrible?
Colt McCoy looked like Colt McCoy might be
I don't
done.
know about that.
Yeah, he looked like the tail end of. He looked like Colt McCoy at his worst. That interception that he threw, the deep ball, was
terrible.
An atrocious play.
Even that one good play he had like one deep ball that was complete. It was a Tim Tebow looking pass.
Yeah,
it was awful.
Those are fighting words right there, man. Tim Tebow looking pass. Good God.
Tebow. God. I saw a Tim Tebow shirt the other day on the streets over here. Just want to point that out.
Did you really?
Well,
Yeah,
you are in. Out there in Colorado.
I'm in Tebow land. That's
right.
He's
better with the Mets farm system, by the way. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
I've heard.
He's not going to make the majors unless they just want to sell tickets. But, Anyway, okay. I think we can all agree that Colt did not look good. I'm willing to give Colt a little bit of a pass just because we've seen him be competent. And I don't know what was going on.
I'm just saying he did not look good.
Samaje P. Ryan, who Bill Belichick, who Brian Billick on the broadcast kept calling him P-Reen, which was, about made me want to yank my head off my shoulders.
Get ready for a couple years of that because I guarantee you that's going to be a common issue.
Oh no, not if he keeps playing like that.
They might not hear a lot of him. I thought he looked terrible.
Might not hear his
I
name.
thought P. Ryan looked indecisive. He just looked lost completely to me. It got a little bit better. He had one good run in the second half, but in terms of going against the Baltimore, frontline guys, I thought he looked indecisive, slow. He wasn't. He just looked. He looked like a rookie to me. It'll get better.
We're not going to have a run game this year, fellas. Sorry, but I'm calling it now. It's not going to happen for us.
I believe in Rob Kelly. I always have. He didn't show it. He didn't have an opportunity to show it.
I get the optimism, but you're basing it off.
No, I'm basing it off what I saw of them last year, and I don't think at a minimum. I don't think they look terrible Thursday, no doubt. But we've seen them perform the offensive line at a decent level, and we saw Rob Kelly perform.
Not with the run game. When do we see that with the run game? We don't see them support the run game.
They've had their moments. They've had their moments.
Okay. I'll give you that. You've had a couple moments.
Well, and also remember, Jake Gruden isn't much of a running.
I'm being an asshole.
Jake Gruden isn't much of a running coach.
Sorry, everybody.
We know that.
He's not.
No, he's not. We still, I think, ran for about 100 yards a game on average last year.
Did we really?
Yeah.
Or close to it.
I'd have to go look at the final stats.
I'm the stat man.
I'll try to remember to do that before the end of the show, but...
We had 2 big games. I think that's why.
That sounds more accurate. Yeah, there you go. That pulls this.
But offensively, from the second string guys, I have to bring it up, and I know it's going to irritate the audience, but we have to do it. Ryan Grant.
Do it.
Ryan Grant got lots of run.
Yeah.
In this, he
had a nice catch.
Yeah, he got some
big hit.
run with the first stringers too.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, there was no one else.
Well, we'll get to the back of the roster guys, I guess, later. But to me, Grant is nothing's changed about him. He has no burst whatsoever. He's not a starting quality wide receiver. He's never going to be a starting quality wide receiver. I realize coaches love him. I mean, Robbie Duncan, has talked about how he's a great practice player, to us. I get it, but I just don't think he's a legitimate starting quality weapon, NFL wide receiver. I just don't. Nothing I saw Thursday is going to change my mind about it.
Give him credit where he's due. He had a good catch, and he ate a big hit and held onto the ball.
He did.
He'll continue to contribute here and there. I mean, no one's going to disagree with you, though. He's not going to beat the world.
Yeah, I just seeing him out there with
there.
the first stringers, yikes.
Yeah. By the way, I did Google it. We did have exactly 100 yards
right
average.
on the nose.
Awesome. We had 1,696 yards rushing.
That seems like an awful lot. I'm surprised still. Just thinking back, but okay.
Yeah.
I won't argue with
now,
the shit.
Stats.
Now, what I think was instructive about this game offensively, once you get into the second string and the second and third quarters, we got a lot of opportunity to see some of these back of the roster receivers since we had so many receivers out.
Yeah, we
saw,
did.
a lot of Zach Pascal, who also was, in the return game. If you noticed that they didn't have Thompson and Crowder do kick and punt returns. It was a bunch of other guys.
No.
We saw a lot of Brian Quick, a lot of Pascal. None of them particularly impressed me. I don't know about you guys. None of these back of the roster
not in the
receivers
game.
impressed me really much at all.
No. In the game, I'll be honest, there's not a single receiver I see upsetting this depth chart this year.
Yeah.
I think the guys we all think will be there will be the guys who are there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Matt Hazel, not impressive.
No. Matt Hazel actually kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth about Matt Hazel.
From a run game,
Coastal Carolina man.
I honestly, I mean, if he
sorry.
makes a practice squad, I think that's his realistic goal. Isn't it true? I mean, he's not going to upset.
No.
Right.
I wish somebody would knock Ryan Grant off the roster, but it just,
God, you're such a hater on Ryan Grant.
I think the only guy who's even got an outside shot is Quick. And that's probably
from a running game. Matt Jones
okay.
got a few carries, looked terrible. Of course, again, the O-line. It was really more the old. I can't put a lot of these with the exception of Pete Ryan, who just I thought looked bad as a running back. None of the rest
indecisive. He wasn't sure.
None
what
of
to
those
do.
rest of these running backs, I really think it really showed us much because the O-line was just so bad.
See, and you're saying this is going to be an above average freaking offensive line this year.
They had a bad day.
Man.
They had a bad day.
Well,
I don't know what to tell you. They
dreaming.
had a bad day.
Yeah, I think they had a bad day, and I think even on the
They've had a bad
Samaje
decade.
Perine issue, I think that's a lot of that might be chalked up as just a rookie kind of.
Oh yeah, I'm not
bright lights.
P. Ryan immediately.
Sure.
I mean, he didn't look good, but I mean, he's a rookie. It was his first game. Bright spots on the sort of back of the roster guys on defense. Nico Marley was everywhere, all over the freaking place.
Yeah. Good call.
Big effort guy. I thought he showed more quickness, like football quickness, than I thought he would. Because his 40 time wasn't anything to write home about. It was like 4.7, 4.8 or something.
No, I think. Yeah, it was not good.
But I thought he plays faster than he would run on track. But I mean, let's be honest about who Nico Marley is, though. I mean, he's kind of a fan favorite. He got that sack, if I recall, and didn't he get a sack? And he had
a couple pressures,
but he's 5'8", 200 pounds. Okay, he's
200 pounds. Yep.
I know people. I saw some chatter on Twitter about this today. Look, he's too small. He's never going to be a starter. You can't be a starter at linebacker in the NFL at 200 pounds. People are going to bring up London Fletcher, who was undersized. But London Fletcher was 5'10", 230 pounds. Okay?
And that was in his later
years,
years, I think. In his prime, he was closer to
Exactly.
240, 250. He was a bit. He was
right.
wide.
He was very sturdy. He's a lot bigger than Nico Marley. Nico Marley is like my size.
Right.
Add a little muscle to him, and that's Nico. If I was black and related to Bob Marley. Neither which
what a sight that would be.
Neither of those things. But point is, we love watching for Nico Marley, and we love rooting for him. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a guy who's a practice squad or a
he's
teamer.
getting the Colt McCoy or the Colt Brennan
he is.
Award right now. He's becoming that fan favorite in preseason, and there is something to be said for that kind of guy. I love those kind of guys. We all do. We wouldn't be hardcore Redskins fans if we didn't have a soft spot for guys who just gut it out in preseason.
Sure.
I think he probably has a future at least on the practice squad. And you'll never get taller than 5'8", but come on, you can get a guy bigger, maybe. I mean,
Depends on his
I don't
body
know how much
structure.
you could add,
Depends
but
on his body structure.
yeah, it really depends on the body structure, like you're saying. But seeing him in person at camp, and we'll get into camp stuff later, I'm sure you could get him to 220. I feel like, and at least then you're on the
through some
low
of those
side.
Trent Murphy specials. He could probably gain a whole lot more weight.
Yeah.
A couple other bright spots I thought on the back of the roster defensively. Josh Holsey got a lot of play early. He had the one pass interference penalty. It was hard to blame him for it because that was another awful Ryan Mallett pass. It was about 5 yards underthrown, and the receiver kind of stopped. And Halsey ran straight into him.
When that gets called, by the way.
Halsey could have done, but just run into the back of him. I thought he looked pretty good. Josh Harvey Clemens looked good. They had him playing in linebacker, which is what we all thought would happen.
Right.
I thought he looked like a pretty decent player in terms of effort. So I have hope for him. I thought he looked good.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk of him having some upside playing that money backer position that we wanted for Sua last year.
I like some guys that maybe need to think about reevaluate their status. Tevin Homer. Yikes. Tevin. God bless you, Tevin.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have talent. Certainly a lot more than I do. But you didn't look like an NFL cornerback in that game. Same with Jeremiah McKinnon. Looked terrible, I thought.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
him
he was
playing.
in there for very briefly.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, I don't know how much you want to harp on this game. Yeah, those are my kind of up and downs.
No, I think it was an ugly game. We got our asses handed to us, and it's best to just kind of move forward. And by the way, that was kind of the mantra I heard from a lot of the players. We need to move forward from it, and it's kind of good to just get kicked in the face.
I had six
early.
pages. I had 6 pages of notes, though. I had to get some of this stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think we covered it pretty well. I think it's just a shame because I think the Redskins have a really hard time coming out of the gates with any kind of energy. Every year it seems like
Jay
that's kind of
Gruden's fault?
It
Can you
takes some
guys
time to pick up.
Give us you guys' opinion on that. I mean, Jay's teams always do horrible in the beginning.
It has
of
to
the
be.
season.
It has to be, Steve. I mean, they looked so sloppy. I think that was kind of the moral of the story for me of that game. They're just sloppy all around. It's not the end of the world. It's the first game. Guys need to heat up. But not every team.
It's preseason, too.
It's preseason. It's not a big deal. But other teams don't really have that problem. And I think if you look at the teams that won this weekend, people know how to come out of the gates and strike hard. The Redskins just can't do that. So, yeah, I put it on Gruden. And if this continues into the first part of the season like this, then
Hey, you know what
it's
coach
Gruden.
was really good in the preseason though? The old ball coach.
Who's that?
Coach.
Oh, yeah. Old ball coach.
He just rolled over. He just steamrolled everybody in the preseason. Remember?
52-7, right? Wasn't that
Something like that,
the
yeah,
score in
yeah.
Tokyo?
Yeah.
So if you
I mean,
want
I'm
that,
not,
we can go that
look,
route.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, not every team struggle, looks so out of sorts.
You guys weren't on the last show, but what I said is my key to the game. All I wanted was for the first team offense to look competent and get a solid long drive going. That's what I wanted. And
right.
that just,
Sure. No, you've asked way too much.
Really didn't happen.
Yeah, you asked for way too much.
Failed.
You got really greedy in asking for that, Steve. Come on. One good drive? Jesus Christ. Next thing, you're going to ask for a win.
Right.
Anyways, okay, yeah, so I don't know. I don't have anything else about that. Let's move forward like everybody said and just hope it goes better next week against Green Bay. I guess we're going to talk about that more at the end of the episode, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, well, let's talk about something a little cooler, which is our presence at behind the scenes over at training camp. Alex, you were on scene, getting exclusive interviews, getting the scoop, getting the lowdown. Why don't you give it to us? Take us through the sights and sounds, man.
Well, let's say I wasn't behind the scenes. I was adjacent to the scenes.
You were near the scene.
Near the scenes.
You know, come on. You were behind the scenes. Okay?
I almost got run over by Terrell Pryor at one point when he was running in trying to catch a touchdown pass.
There you go.
How's that?
That would have been a story.
Yeah. It's hard to get run over by such a big dude because you know to get out of the way. You see him coming. No, he probably did not notice me, but because I ran 5 yards to the side right when I saw him come in my direction.
Just let him smash into you and take that sweet insurance payout, dude.
Yeah, right. No, it was great, man. I this is not my first training camp, but it was the first time I've done the media access thing, and I don't know where to exactly start. It was a lot of fun to be able to just kind of get down there. You get into the facility. I apparently got into the facility hours earlier
On
than
Sunday
I needed to.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's okay.
got my credentials and all that, and I was just hanging out there in the press room. Wasn't a lot of press the first day. Saturday, it seems like there was only a handful of people. It was all the regulars. You know, you guys know who I'm talking about. Kime, Liz,
The usual suspects.
Post. Yeah, the usual suspects. Master.
Was Master
It was interesting
paying
to-
attention to football or listening to rap music?
I think he can do both things at once.
He's
He's
the
the
master.
master.
He's
good,
the master.
Yeah, he's good at
Master.
both. We love you, Master.
Yeah, we like Master. I mean, I chatted with him just a little bit. You know, I know those guys also have a job to do, so I don't try and bother them that much.
Listen,
but let me
you were
kind of talk
paid
about
to do
some
a
of the
job
stuff
too,
that.
Alex.
Well, paid, right?
You were paid in our eternal gratitude.
Yeah. Let me go through some of the things that I kind of observed. Now, obviously, I wrote something for each day, and did some live video on Twitter.
You kept a
people can go
diary.
back and check out. Yeah, people can go and check those out. That stuff is fresh off the mind when I did it, so that was kind of nice.
It had kind of a Mike
one thing that
Jones
kinda
sort of
stuck-
feel to those videos. Did
Mike Jones or was it Jason Reed?
Did those the insider guys who listen to us know what we're talking about? But those videos that they did from like the closet at Redskins Park, your video kind of had that.
Yeah.
Your video kind of had that
videos.
sort of feel to it, which is I thought awesome, frankly.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I know. Yeah. I was actually kind of going for that. I wanted to do a Jason Reed thing and just sound tired the whole time.
Yeah.
Let me kind of go through some things that I observed that we need to talk about. So here's my biggest red flag that I saw in camp. I want to get to this first because I think it is an important issue.
Uh-oh.
Preston Smith dogs it in camp. He does not try at all. Like, it looks like somebody like me, a 33-year-old out-of-shape dude doing his warm-ups and, doing position drill, stuff. He doesn't look like he's trying hard.
We have a phone call,
and
by the
I
way,
worry about that.
on the line. And on the line is somebody who identifies herself as Mrs. Smith.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry,
Is
Miss
it my
Smith.
mom?
No,
My mom's maiden
you
name is
noticed
Smith, so-
that Preston Smith dogged it when times you were there. That's interesting because Jamal brought up the same point, at least on a play or two. I think he said this on the air. If he didn't say it on the air, he said it on the audio he did. That he noticed that too. So it makes you wonder if that's just a trend with Preston.
Yeah, and I don't know if he just doesn't work hard in camp, but remember, we heard that his rookie year, too. One of the veterans had to sit him down and say, dude, you got to try harder.
Yeah, that's...
And I'm wondering if that's just not sticking with him.
Well, what's weird about it is if it's so apparent to both of you guys, you've got to imagine it's apparent to the coaching staff too.
Right.
And if
me, who's very much just a fan,
you can pick up on it
sees it.
like that, then I mean,
Right.
you got to wonder why someone like that would be allowed to skate on. If this is something we've heard over the years,
Listen, I mean, Preston
Yeah.
has an opportunity right now too. I mean, it's certainly sad what happened to Trent. He was going to be suspended anyway. Now he's out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is Preston's opportunity personally. Because if he's not careful, he's going to get his job taken by Junior Collette.
Yeah. Well, and I think that might already be happening because Gillette Here's the thing: like they were doing the drills where they're trying to jump up for like a ball, and we have a still photo of it that you guys have seen. One of the coaches like hitting them with it almost looks like an American Gladiator stick.
Yeah,
Pupils,
I think
you know
I
what I
put
mean?
use that photo
Yeah.
for one of the posts.
I don't know
so
what-
it may be out there for the public to see too.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that thing, but it just looks like the battle sticks from the American Gladiator.
Yeah, it's a pugil stick.
Yeah. So the coach is hitting him with that, and
Just whapping them in the stomach.
yeah, Kerrigan, Gillette, they go all out in that. Lyndon Trail, by the way, huge guy. Like when you see him on, and you're standing, 50 feet from him,
Hard to
he is
believe that guy's a
gigantic.
linebacker.
I honestly kind of wonder why he's not
'Cause
playing
he's not
end.
bulky enough.
Because I think he's listed at almost 280. So, but anyway, he was really going after it. Spate, I noticed him, trying hard in that. Nico, he wants to rip everything apart. I think he's just trying to prove himself every second of every day.
Little man
And
syndrome.
then Smith, he's got the little man syndrome. Smith, meh, he doesn't. He jumps for it, and he eventually gets the ball, I think.
He
But
phones it in. Yeah.
he phones it in. He really does.
That's distressing, man. That's distressing
Yeah,
to hear.
those other guys are trying hard, and so there is that at least. And okay, I get it. It's drills, it's warm ups. It's not even the 11-on-11
Yeah,
stuff.
but the only people who can get
But-
away with that are the Allen Iversons of the world, who are all-time greats. The rest of those people have to practice. The guy who gets
Yeah.
to say
Right.
practice, it's only practice, whatever he said. That's because he's in the Hall
Right.
of Fame. When you're Preston Smith,
Yeah.
you need to go
Right.
all out in practice.
Yeah. What can you say about that? That's really distressing to hear. For
It's probably
that
not
position
that
particularly.
uncommon, though. I mean,
So-
it's
so-
50, 90 guys on a team. They're out there.
Right. And by the way, it is tough trying to watch all 90 guys all the time.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, I tried to just focus in on a few people. Like, okay, when they're doing this one workout, I'll focus on the running backs or, that kind of thing. So let me get into one guy who I think realized he had a bad day on Thursday night and was working his tail off. That's Perrine. Samaje, he was going hard.
Yeah, you better, dude.
He had moments like during the 11-on-11s. You're not supposed to have contact. He didn't care. He was running through guys as best he could to make up for, I think, what happened over the course of that game.
There's something to be said for that, and what you were saying about Nico Marley. I mean, there's something to be said to have a lot of heart when the odds are against you making any kind of meaningful spot on
Yeah.
this team. You've got to love that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So-
I think P. Ryan has a lot of talent. I think it's really hard for a rookie running back, in particular, to make an impact. I think as a result of this training camp, to me, Rob Kelly has sort of a stranglehold on the job at this point. And it's really going to take something to happen, like P. Ryan just really
Sure.
bust out or something to really, at this point, not be Rob Kelly's job. But he's got the physical ability to it. If he can kind of, his niche this year may be goal line short yardage.
Sure.
He's a bowling ball.
Sure, and I think that's exactly what should happen. Is you find ways where he can be a reliever for Fat Rob, and goal line's a good spot. Those short yardage situations, he'd be a good spot in. But yeah, I really was impressed by what I saw from him, especially in the 11-on-11 or 7-on-7 drill kind of stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Another thing to note, I'm worried about left guards, because neither of our left guards really seem to look very impressive either in the preseason game
And by
or in
the
camp.
left guard, you're talking about the Apostle Sean Laval, who never seems to go away, and Ari Kwanjo.
Yeah, I'm talking more about Laval, who I just picked up on this a few times, but I think there's something to it. His side-to-side movement is just not anything comparable to other guys like Murphy or
I'm going to guess that he
Scherf
can
or
probably
Spencer.
outrun Murphy laterally at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Murphy. I meant Trent Williams.
I was making a joke about, Trent Murphy's injury, at the expense of Trent Murphy's injury.
Yeah. No. But
I'm
I
thinking I
realized
could
I said
run out
Murphy.
Trent Murphy
I was thinking
now.
Trent.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Oh, we have two Trents on the team, so
Trent
my brain
Williams.
was, yes, Trent Williams.
Well, speaking of that, Alex, I was going to say, this is something I forgot to say earlier. Kwanjo, speaking of Kwanjo, I feel like he had a pretty bad outing
he did
on Thursday as well.
They both did.
I would, yeah. Someone was saying he's falling out of favor, and I understand.
I'm kind of rooting for
which
him.
leaves us, it's just a major hole.
I'm kind of
still
rooting for
on this
Ari
team.
just because he was on the show and he was a nice guy, and
Oh yeah.
And I
yeah.
thought he was pretty intelligent and pretty well spoken, so I was kind of rooting for him. But you continually see the O-line guys. I'm talking about the analysts who know the O-line talk about how Ari continually needs more and more development. So I think if they could actually find someone, he may be in trouble. But I don't know if we have anybody on the roster. Nobody really stuck out to me in the game Thursday.
Oh God,
no one's. Like Chase Rourier might be that guy in a year, but I saw a lot of stuff where he wasn't getting a hand on anybody.
And he got a lot of run time in the game against the Ravens too.
And I'm talking in the game. I'm not talking in camp there about Rourier. But I thought Rourier actually in camp. He looked fine. He was going against other twos, so he looked okay in that regard. Other little notes. We all know Cravens is hurt, and he'll be out for most of preseason, if not all of preseason.
Which is a real shame.
Right.
Everett was getting a lot of time with the number ones. I noticed that. Yeah. Oh, about Cravens?
Well, yeah. I mean, because Cravens is a guy who probably needed the experience. If you have some of these guys like Josh Norman, if he turned an ankle or something, I wouldn't be too broken up about it because he did. He knows what he's doing. But Cravens is a guy who's switching positions. At least switching from last year. He played. He did it in college.
Yeah.
But I think he probably needed the run with the ones at strong safety. So it's kind of a shame that Cravens is out.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I have a soft spot for Everett because I like underdogs like that, and he's been a hard worker for us in the past few years.
Yeah, this is his third year with us, or this is going into his fourth year or something?
I think he's going into his third season.
Third season, okay, yeah.
He might have had one season on the practice squad that I don't remember or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I think he's played for 3 years now. But anyway, Everett was with the starters. Another guy who I saw getting a lot of playtime and did really well was Fabian Moreau. Anyway, so Fabian Moreau had a couple of really good plays. He had a couple of great pass breakups against Colt McCoy. And the thing that I noticed with him was his eyes when, he's watching the pre-snap and, watching where the ball's going, early on. He tracks really well for an outside corner. He knows,
bring something up here with these corners? Because I had...
Well, we have a lot lot of corners on the team.
We do. But, we had a back and forth with Adam Tarasky about this. Because what we saw against the Ravens and in practice both were a lot of these corners weren't turning their heads to look for the ball. Okay, and I'll just tell you from my experience as a mediocre high school player, most corners, how it works is, when you're in particularly when you're in man coverage, you're trying to stick with them and you're looking at the wide receiver's head, and when he turns his head, you turn your head, and at that point, then you track the ball down. Now, what Adam Tarasky said was that Dorian. I'm having a brain lock. Our DB coach, Dorian Gray.
The
Dorian Gray's
DB coach,
What's his name? Dorian.
Right.
That's right.
He can't.
I forgot because I remember we made so many jokes about that.
Yeah, I know. Somebody help me look it up. But anyway, he came from Virginia Tech, which is where Kendall Fuller came from, because where I originally noticed it was a Kendall Fuller didn't turn his head. He said they were not coached up at Virginia Tech to turn their head and look for the ball. That's just not how...
Torian.
Yeah, Dorian Gray's a novel. Torian Gray. Apparently, Torian did not coach the Virginia Tech DBs like that, which is odd to me, and that explains why Kendall wasn't doing it, this past week. So, and now it makes me wonder what he's going to teach our guys with the Redskins, some of these young guys in camp. To me, that's, far be it for me to question what an NFL coach is teaching, but...
Well, and I think that... Am I wrong that in college they're a lot more laid back about that in terms of the rule?
Well, it's not really a rule. It's just this is technique. This is a
Yes,
technique
you,
thing.
you gotta get your head around. You have to. I mean,
No, I
you
know.
don't do that in this league. You got a serious
Right.
problem. It does seem like we have a problem doing that. The only thing I can say is at least we have two guys on this team, two corners on this team that have shown that they can do that. And maybe that's enough, to show the younger guys what's up. I'm talking about like Breedlin and Norman, obviously.
I think if
So-
somebody out there gets Torian on an interview, we need to ask him that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should make a interview request for a DB coach.
Yeah, let's
could
do
try.
it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm
Sure,
down.
that'll go absolutely
yeah.
nowhere.
No shame in trying. So.
We could,
Yeah. Speaking of interviews, I do want to say we got a bunch of great interviews. I feel like
seriously, go
between
online and check
Jamal
those
I,
out, everybody. Yeah, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
people should definitely check out not just mine. Check out Jamal's too because he did a great job. He frankly got more guys than I did, so I give him credit. He's got guts when it comes to just approaching
Both
guys
of you
for
did
interviews.
great.
That's what
Both
you
of you
gotta
did
do.
great.
But-
Got great interviews.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm happy with what I got. And there's one that Steve, you pointed out something interesting that I didn't even pick up on, and I did the interview. And that was in my interview with Mason Foster about the whole situation of calling plays and could he replace Will Compton. So let's play that audio real quick.
It's like a moving rotation. So I play Mike and Mo. So
Right.
I'll go like during the game I did a series. Started the series with Comp at Mo, and then the next series I went back with Zach at Mike. So I feel very comfortable playing both spots. And
What about the play calling kind of aspect, that getting that green dot on the back of the helmet and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff?
yeah, I mean I had never played any other position besides Mike until I came to DC. So I think a lot of people, I don't know if they really, understand that. But, I came into the league as a Mike. My rookie year was a lockout year, and I was thrown into, right away. So that kind of, helped me, with calling plays. You got guys like Rondé Barber,
Sure.
Aqib Talib out there looking at you, and you're calling the plays as a 22-year-old. So,
Tall order.
Yeah, exactly. It got you ready right then and there. You know what I mean? So you got, future Hall of Famer looking in your eyes, telling you to spit out the plays. So, I feel comfortable playing any position, and I'm willing to play whatever this team needs me to play to win, so it doesn't matter to me.
Sure. So, Steve, you pointed this out that you thought that what he said was kind of a surprise to you, I guess, or what did you?
Well, it wasn't so much a surprise as I thought it was very relevant in that a lot of the fans, the debate amongst the great unwashed out here like us and the fans were whether Mason Foster can replace Will
Right.
Compton as the Mike backer and call plays. And and of all the interviews we got, Mason actually was the guy who said something really relevant because you asked him that very question. And what he said was he's been calling plays his entire football career as a middle linebacker. The only place he hasn't done it is in Washington. Because of the way, the personnel
Right.
lined up. That's just not the role he asked him to do. And so the point is that he's actually very experienced at it. He said in that interview that you guys just heard, he was calling plays with Aqib Talib and Rondé Barber.
Right.
He actually has a lot of experience in it. So I think what that told me is that the fans out there, you guys who are listening, don't be afraid of Mason Foster taking over as Mike linebacker because Mason thinks he can
Right.
do it. Mason has done it in the past, and I think that should not be an excuse for the reason why maybe Compton starts over Foster at that position.
Well, okay, and I think it's hard for me to say because you know how much I like Will Compton, but I think you're right. I think Foster probably is the better option. If we think he can call plays, then I think you got to go with it. I think you just got to put your best two talents out there. Compton can still rotate in as needed. I
Yeah.
think he's at least capable of as a sub.
Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to knock
Right.
him too much. I just think Foster's more physical. I think he's more athletic. My concern was whether he, could call the plays, and he told
Yeah,
you
he
that
seems to think he
can't.
can.
So,
No, I understand. And I just think Will Compton's kind of become a scapegoat whipping boy for a lot of fans these days.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But I'm all for
Yeah.
giving him a shot at doing it as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's just good to have two people that are confident in being able to do it. Now, the Redskins' play calling process has never made sense. On the field.
No, it's always been a little convoluted.
Yeah, it's all convoluted. It's all crazy.
Well, look at who our defensive coordinators are.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that could be part of it.
That's definitely, yeah, I mean, absolutely. But
Well, and now look at our new defensive coordinator, who looks like he's some kind of 1920s Irish brawler now that he shaved his goatee.
yeah, nice.
He's got those thick sideburns, man, and he looks like he's going to fist fight people.
He does. He looks like, yeah, he really does. He looks like he fell out of like some Irish,
Gangs of New York. That's
Irish
where he's
immigrant
from.
Movie. Yeah, there you go.
Well, okay, so one last thing I really want to touch on camp that I'm kind of picking up on, and this is going to kind of be a shock, I think, in a way. Here's my most improved player from last year to this year.
Oh, boy.
It's Sut.
Wait, hold on, wait, don't give it up.
Right.
I mean,
Let's guess.
shock?
Well-
Sean Laval? I don't know. Who?
Were you even paying attention
would
to
shock
the show, Sean? Were you asleep through the part where he said that?
I know, but
Sean Laval
he said it would be a shock.
remember
I'm
that?
trying to think of who would be a shock. No one's going to shock me
Oh,
by
okay.
improving over last year. That's not a high bar, my friend.
No.
I can't.
That's true. You're right. It's not a high bar. So
I mean,
you don't
okay.
have a guess.
Most improved over last year. So.
Steve better be able to get it since he edited everything I wrote.
Oh, nice. This is unfair. Well, clearly it's not going to be Preston Smith. Shit, I don't know, man. I have no idea.
Just go ahead, say. Go ahead.
All
and
right,
say
so
it.
here's my guy who I've actually seen had the most improvement, and that's Nate Sudfeld.
Oh, wow. That thought crossed my
Yeah.
mind, but I was like, no, what? We barely saw Sudfeld. How can he be much improved?
Because Alex texted me and said I got Sudfeld, and my response in the text was, "Did you tell him you hate him?"
Yeah, that's right.
That was my response.
What? I'm surprised to hear you say that, Alex. Why do you say that? Because he looked pretty
They-
out of sorts, too, in the game, in the limited action he saw.
He did, but the things that Sudfeld struggled with in the game and when I saw him in practice last
Handling
year
pressure?
were it wasn't necessarily pressure or anything like that. It was purely mechanical stuff. His mechanics were below average at best at times in his rookie season, and looking at him and watching him pretty closely during camp, that's been fixed. A lot of it's been fixed, at least. He still has the occasional bad throw or
Sure.
Stuff you'd expect from
He's young, though. He's young, hadn't played a lot.
he hasn't had a lot of playing time.
But, you know what? He actually said something relevant in his interview with you.
Yeah.
You did a Nate Sudfeld interview, obviously. I wasn't joking about it. And the one thing interesting he said to me in that interview, which you guys can listen, it's up on our website, was you asked him specifically about his motion.
Right,
with
his
him working
arm
on his
motion, yeah.
He
Motion of his
said,
ocean.
and he said, no, it's been foot. He said, no, it was footwork that he improved.
Right.
On. He said his motion is kind of the same, but he's improved his footwork a lot, which has helped his accuracy and helped kind of
right, because if you remember, and
so I thought that
we
was very
talked about it a lot on the show, how he seemed to throw a lot of balls towards the dirt his rookie year. Like something about his throwing motion just kind of shot them downward, and he's a big guy, so it might have something to do with his height. But yeah, he that's gone away, which to me is big for him. If he can get his
I
throwing arm to have more accuracy, and he's got way more power than someone like Colt McCoy, in terms of.
Well, yeah, he's got a much
Yeah.
stronger arm than Colt. I continue to believe that it's not time to give up on Sudfeld. I'm particularly encouraged that you saw improvement when you watched him up close and personal there live. Because the guy barely played in the last preseason,
Right.
for one thing. He's
Yeah.
literally hardly played at all.
I think if you add it up, he got
know.
about one game's worth of playing time his rookie year.
Maybe
yeah.
at most. Yeah, and so I just think that if you guys out there listening, or because I know there's a whole contingent of like dump Nate,
Sure. Hey, I
crowd
was
out
part of
there.
that. I was leading
I
that
think-
contingent for a while.
Yeah, I know. You were in charge. You were the commander-in-chief
Right.
of that contingent. But I think it's too early to give up on him because we truly haven't seen him play. And, as we can now have a witness that says he's gotten
Right.
better. There were times during the Ravens game I thought he might
That's what
have
I'm
looked
saying. It
better.
sounds like he's got more upside
yeah.
than Colt. So, what do you
Oh,
stand to
he
lose?
definitely has more upside than a 30-year-old guy who's busted his
Physically,
arm
yeah.
several times in
Well,
his career.
I know, and even at this moment right now, I mean, it's almost like why even roll with Colt?
Well, I think you have to still
Experience.
Experience didn't do
in
much
the
the other
offense.
night when he threw in a triple coverage. I mean, in a terrible
No,
wobbly
that's true.
pass. I mean, yeah,
The whole
I
team
know.
looked bad. Yes,
I know.
the whole
I mean,
team
he-
looked bad.
And he had a bad pass or two in camps. Everyone does. Kirk had a couple of bad passes in camp when I was there.
Oh, I believe it.
Even though I thought he
Kirk had
played
a bad pass in the game too.
Even though I think he played really well most of camp, he had like 2 or 3 that I'd say he probably needs to take back.
You don't mean the
the
one and only
happens.
Kirk Cousins wasn't playing well in camp? Wow, that's
blowing
my fucking mind.
He was playing well. He just had 1 or 2 bad passes.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that, this is
Right.
practice. And years ago, we didn't get all this like breathtaking play-by-play, moment-by-moment
Right.
coverage of training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Even 10 years ago, the Hog-Stye would never have been let anywhere near Redskins Park or anywhere.
Even last year, they wouldn't
And there
have
was
let
no
us near.
Well, yeah, even last year, that's true. But my point is, I think it's easy to lose
Oh, yeah.
perspective during training camp because this is why they practice. They practice to get better, and everybody has bad throws. Joe Montana had bad practices and bad games. Johnny Unitas had bad practices, bad games. And so, we go like moment by moment, through Twitter and through the Hog-Stye and through Hogs Haven and whoever else is there covering this stuff.
But listen,
It's gonna happen,
because this is, I don't care if you lose preseason games, but this is what I'm hearing from Alex. We got guys in training camp that don't even appear to be trying. And these are guys at critical positions that have a major opportunity to earn a starting spot, like Preston Smith. And he's not trying. He's sitting there and he doesn't even looks out of shape. He doesn't look like he's trying. And then the team comes out and hits the field and they look sloppy as shit. I don't need you to win, but look like you are doing something cohesive, look like you're doing something coherent. They didn't even look like any of them were on the same damn page. So that's what I'm hearing, and it's just like, I know it's like over-reported and we can't read too much into it, but
You're right.
the team just looks a mess. And the word we get is it's a mess. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't instill confidence.
And let me just be clear. I wasn't disagreeing with you. I'm totally with you for the game. Absolutely. I really just meant the coverage of training camp nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the fans a little bit of distorted perspective just because you're seeing things you never see. In the game, I totally agree with you. They looked awful. There's no excuse for the way they looked. Even in preseason, it's just an embarrassment. I totally agree. But Kirk Cousins is going to have bad throws.
No, that's
Nate
true.
Sudfeld's going to have bad
That's
throws.
so true.
Didn't hear about him
very
all the time
true.
years ago.
Totally true.
Yeah.
Can't argue.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. I would say actually in camp, Kirk looked pretty good most of the time. Like I said, it was mostly 2 or 3 bad throws.
Did he look $25 million good? Because he better
I
have
don't
fucking
think-
looked that good. Tell you that.
I don't think anybody looks $25 million
Nobody
good
looks
in
that
life.
good. Yeah, you're right.
No one that actually
What
exists
other-
is worth that much money. Like no human being, but people get it anyway.
That's true. It's true.
What other notes? Did you have any
I
other
didn't
notes?
really have any other big
from
notes.
training camp?
I'll say I got a new hat. That counts
There
for
you
something.
go. That counts for a lot.
I got a new hat.
You interviewed Will Blackman. Will Blackman, here's what I got.
Oh,
out
okay.
of
You
your
want to talk about the Will
interview.
Blackman thing? Yeah.
I do, because you approached your questions from a perspective of a guy who was on the team, made it, and is sort of thinking about his role. And what you asked him was, what's going to be your role for the year. Blackman said, "Forget that mess. I just want to make the team. And once that's solidified, and I know I've made the team, then we'll talk about what I need to do." So he was a guy who's
a little
just
more
wants,
self-aware.
wants to secure a spot. And we talked about this. I forget what show. A couple weeks ago, we talked about this very thing with Blackman. He's a vet. He's making a lot of money, comparatively speaking. He's the one that needs to be careful and watch himself.
I think he's aware of that.
team.
Yeah.
And Blackman himself has told you personally that he's aware of that.
That's a good point.
So,
I didn't really
I
think of
thought
it that
was-
way, but yeah, I liked. He seemed like a nice guy when I was talking to him, but let's be honest, he is on that bubble.
Oh yeah.
I hate to say that about a guy, but he's on the bubble.
Yeah.
But I really thought it was a great experience. I got you guys a few little souvenirs that I'm going to mail to you.
Oh.
So nothing
Gosh,
expensive,
you're
just
cute.
a little something.
You big cutie.
Yeah. So I got to just remember to do that sometime this week. Go to the post office.
We'll snap some pictures and put them up on the website, you big cutie.
It's nothing crazy. Here's what I got you. I'll show you. 85th anniversary pins.
Nice.
Since it's 85 years now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Redskins. 85 years.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Amen. Yeah. 85 years. Thank you very much,
85
Ox.
years
Little
and
gift. We appreciate
5 championships.
That's right. And thank you, too, for attending camp. Folks, like he said, check out our website. We got all kinds of clips, audio, video, all kinds of awesome stuff on the website going up there as we ramp up to the season. So make sure you're following us there. Should we talk a little bit about next week, guys? Give people maybe a little...
Yeah, let's do a real quick one.
Little quick preview of what they might have in store this coming week.
Do we just want to all go through and say what we're looking for?
Yeah.
Yes, let's do. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty similar.
Steve is looking for a game against the Falcons, apparently, because he didn't even know who we were playing.
Hey, listen, it's preseason, okay? Give me a break. I thought it was the Falcons. Sue me. I thought, and I had it in my head that it was the Falcons. It's the Packers. Sue me. We could have avoided that embarrassment, except Sean felt the need to bring it up on the show.
That's right. Had to do it. Got to troll you where I can, man. No.
I've always found it weird. Why are you playing NFC teams versus NFC teams anyway? I feel like you should only play NFC versus AFC in the preseason.
Well, we're not playing the Packers this year.
Wow, that might actually...
What, are you worried about the NFC?
Damn right I am. I'm always worried about the NFC.
He's thinking big about this.
Look, Packers, okay? Packers. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's my preview. I don't even care about the
like
Packers at all. We will do our regular game previews when the season starts,
right.
and when we get that ramped up, we'll do our game preview episode and our game recap episode. We're not going to do all that in preseason. I don't so much care about the Packers. I haven't looked into them at all, obviously.
Aaron Rodgers, he's still there.
All I want is
that's all you need to know.
Yes, he is. All I want is for the offense to look competent, put together a long drive, and look like they belong on an NFL field, get nobody hurt, establish a running game, and get some of our hopefully we get Jordan Reed back. There's rumors he might be back. We'll hopefully Doxson will back. See these guys get a little bit of run, look like they belong, look like they're making progress. That's all I
don't
ask.
Throw
in this
don't
game.
throw
That
a
is
near
literally
interception
all
on the
I
very
ask.
first pass of your game.
That'd be good.
I agree with you, Steve. I would like to see that as well. That's really all I care about. I can say for people at home, if you didn't catch the Packers-Eagles game this past week, it was a sloppy affair on both sides. The Eagles look atrocious. I think they gave up like 4. They gave the ball up 4 times or something in the first half, and it was terrible. Wentz looked terrible. I don't think Rodgers really played at all. I think it was all Hundley. I think the guy's name was. Brett Hundley. But it was he was horribly inconsistent, and just both teams coughed the ball up a lot. It was a pretty sloppy affair for them, though the Packers won. Put plenty of points on the board.
I can imagine that Rodgers is going to play too much in this game.
I doubt it.
I mean, why would you risk Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, there's no point.
I think you're right, but when he is playing, I want to see our corners, step up their game. That's my one thing I'm kind of curious to see.
Sure.
You're going to go against arguably the best quarterback, at least the best arm in the NFL.
With an elite receiver out there, too.
And even when he doesn't have elite receivers, he makes average guys look pretty darn good.
Yeah, somehow they still are productive. It's true.
Yeah, I want to see our corners and see how they hold up in that, whatever it is, 1-2 series. Maybe the first quarter. I don't know if Rodgers will even play that long.
Well, they're going to get a little bit more run. They're going to get more run. In this, you got to assume they're going to probably play most of the first quarter, maybe a series into the second quarter, depending on how things go.
I don't want to see our
from
offense
a
come off
defensive
the field until they do do something.
Yeah, put a
positive.
fucking drive together.
Well, I think Jay proved that he's going to yank him off the field no matter what. Because as bad as they looked Thursday night against the Ravens, I was wondering whether they were going to leave him in there just to
see something.
He made some comments about that. That made me
me
think maybe he's potentially going to keep Kirk in there for longer. He made some comments this week, just was very definitive about Kirk playing. So it sounded like maybe we'll see a little bit more. I don't know.
I heard an interview with Kirk today on the radio, and he was saying the same thing, that last year when they didn't play in the second game, it was a weird anomaly, and this time he thinks he'll get a lot more playing time.
Yeah. Defensively, real quick against the Packers, again, we don't expect Aaron Rodgers to play very much, if at all. He'll probably play a series or 2. I want to see a little bit of pass rush, a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. There was a very clean, yes, they had 4 sacks eventually in that game, but they had, for the most part, a very clean pocket against a guy who was a giant Frankenstein statue in Ryan Mallett, And so I really want to see this new and improved defensive line put together some semblance of a pass rush. We're hopefully going to see Junior Gillette in this game. So we may see the debut.
That'd
of
be a
Jimmy
nice.
Gillette as a Redskin.
Fingers crossed.
That would be
so
nice.
that's a good thing.
Now,
yeah.
Steve, what do you think, real quick? Do you stick with vanilla play calling, though, in this game, or do you... Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sean, do you think so?
Absolutely.
I
There's
don't
no
know.
reason
I don't
not
think he
to.
knows any other way, Alex. You're implying that he has some complex playbook somewhere. No, I'm just kidding. But probably to answer your question seriously, yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right.
It's all about the O-line. The O-line needs to look like the real, actual. Will the Redskins O-line please stand up?
Go.
In the immortal words of Eminem, please
Someone
stand
feed
up.
them a steak.
'Cause they
This
didn't stand
vegan
up
thing
last
ain't
week.
working.
Yeah, for real.
That's what I think.
Seriously.
Trent, it's hard to imagine Trent Williams is a vegan, but
He
to
is.
each their own. That's a hell of a lot of vegetables to get calories for that.
Hey,
big
you can just eat French fries all day long, and that's veganism.
Good point. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, true.
All right.
My wife tried to get me to go vegetarian for a week. That's what happened.
Just French fries, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I like your style.
Yeah.
That'll show her.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll leave you folks to it. Hopefully we did a good job covering last week's game. Hopefully this week's game will be a little bit more positive in its resolution. So we'll see y'all next week. Make sure you're following us online. Take care.
Toodles.
Bye.